I'm gonna tell you a little bit about one of our current research projects. In the first talk we heard today, Gerhard took us on a little trip to the past. I'm gonna take you now to the future. As climate changes and cities become hotter, we need to boost green infrastructure, especially in urban environments, to achieve positive effects on our microclimate, which impacts all of us. So with our research project GLARA, which stands for Green Living, Augmented and Virtual Reality, we are with 3 partners who are experts in different fields like urban planning or climate data analysis, trying to create a mobile application that uses AR and VR to convey complex, abstract and complicated microclimate data in an intuitive and understandable way. So we utilize AR and VR as a lens and as a frame of reference for scientific concepts like thermal load score. What is that? And present that in an intuitive and engaging way that makes you want to dive into these important subject matters. The second part is that we also want to use this app as a new tool for civic participation in urban development. And we know that change comes from the people and politics is sometimes very slow to react. So we want to make this new tool available for participation in urban planning. Florian, next slide, please. So GLARA takes comprehensive analysis and complex data, which normally looks like things like the one to the left on your screen, which is meant for experts in the field and uses not only terms that might not be known, but also 2D simple graphics that can only be interpreted by experts mostly and is not suitable for the broader public. So our team mates at Green for Cities, they use innovative planning tools like GreenPass for analysis for data experts, which is currently used in biddings for architectural development projects, for example. So what do? We take, next slide please, these data and turn it into something more like this. I want to emphasize that this is a preliminary sketch because we are only in the very early stages of our project. We started last November and the project will run through October 2022. So we are now in the stage where we conduct stakeholder interviews and are preparing for our first mock-ups and further development. So the visualization is not final, just to take this abstract concept of this climate data app and make it into something a little more tangible. I want to invite you to a little thought experiment. Let's imagine you live somewhere in an inner city street of Old Town Vienna, and your street is set to be revitalized. Or maybe you're planning to move to a new area, maybe on the outskirts of the city, where there's a completely new development going on. Either way, you care about effects on your living quality and you want to have an impact. So we want to take GLARA and make it a tool for all people who are residents, who are interested in urban development, who are just interested in the effects of green assets on microclimate. And we want to give you a tool that can give you this information anywhere, anytime, and make complex themes easy and intuitive. Because there are some drawbacks with classic participation tools. If you think of conventional participation, most of the time you have to be at a certain place at a certain time, maybe not right now with Corona, but if we think back to our lives like a few weeks ago. So maybe you have little kids, you can't go out in the evening and you can't be part of it. So it only represents a fraction of the population. Also, the materials used are often difficult to understand. So this is where GLARA comes in. You open the app, you see some predefined scenarios, and you see what effects they would have on your microclimate and how it would affect you. So as Florian mentioned before, in the museum context, we take physical objects. In this context, it's not an artwork, but maybe it's your building, your street, and they become information hubs. So the street can become a place for learning and for experiencing information and data. You can control the settings. So think of it like a little video game. If you're in an area that already exists, if it's a revitalization project, through your phone screen and through the camera, you see how it looks right now. And we have 2D and 3D overlays like green assets, visual elements, shadows, composite parameters like the felt temperature. And you can walk around as it will look different in the spring and in the summer than it does in the winter. And can you still hear me? Because it says my connection is unstable.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
But please, slowly but surely come to an end.
Yeah, I will hurry up.
Thank you.
So you can control certain settings. So we utilize all kinds of functions in your phone to create an immersive AR and MR experience. The app will have a modular design. So you have an AR module for revitalization areas that works with surface detection and GPS integration. You have a VR model where you can like walk in ergo perspective, like in a video game, you can walk through your area. And AR and VR provide a lens into this different reality, a glimpse into the future or a possible future, and a frame of reference that hopefully stimulates communication in groups and makes green assets a starting point for dialogues between users, the residents, and city officials. So to summarize, our main objectives in this current research project are, we are doing 2 case studies where we are assessing target group specific requirements, and the gathered insights will inform the development of target group specific business models for the planned market rollout. And of course, we will be developing the modular app and the participation methods. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your interest.
Thank you so much. Sorry that I had to interrupt you a little bit. It's very interesting. I think you could go on and would not lose the audience and it's really, I like also how the story arc of this whole panel went very, very nicely. So thank you for this glimpse into the future. There's already a question from Sylvia. Sylvia, do you want to have it yourself, or shall I take it?
She's not on the podium anymore.
Oh, she's not on the podium, so I will read it to you. The holistic experience. Did you think about other senses like smelling and feeling as well? Or how holistic is an experience actually? I also came across this expression, holistic. I mean, it's like very holy.
That's true. I mean, holistic experience, of course, because you have the physical world as part of it. So sort of holistic for me is bridging the physical world with the digital and thinking of it as one experience. And of course, smell and touch, haptic experiences, everything is part of our experience of the physical world. And of course, that plays into it. Question is how much you can control it in certain situations, especially if you think about your home environment. There, of course, what you can control as a designer of that kind of experience is limited. But of course, all the senses are part of a holistic experience. Yeah.
Mm.
And in GLARA, we are thinking about, well, we can't really incorporate them physically, but we are trying to trigger some your responses from your body or from your memories. Like we are thinking about and conceptualizing how to integrate, for example, heat spots in the AR experience with overlays or maybe with some 3D sound elements. And because you've already for sure experienced a hot summer in the city, or you like can't even deal almost. So we are thinking about how to maybe evoke some feelings and bridge that gap in even another dimension. So, yeah.
Okay, there is a question from Gerhard. Are you still on the podium, Gerhard?
Yes, of course I am.
Okay.
I'd like to know, this GLARA app is very interesting, especially for me in Graz, because we have all these discussions with the microclimate and so on very often, and urban planning. Where do you think the data will come from? Will it be created locally, for example, with a thermometer on the mobile phone, or do you want to get them from a global database? Are you planning to introduce emulation for this temperature and all the environmental data? This would be interesting for me.
Mm-hmm. Our partner Green for Cities, they have already a product on the market called Green Pass, which is being used already in architectural competitions and all kinds of other certifications. And they use, they have all kinds of data setups to gather the data, and then they run simulations. And they, for example, do a summer day, and then one day in autumn, and so on. So they collect the data, and they have very complicated AI algorithms, and I can't even explain it to you. They have tried to explain it to us. It's fascinating, really, and I've learned many more new terms. But yeah, so for the case studies, we are working closely with one case study is a completely new development project so there's like nothing there now. So we are working with the developers and have all their data and their plans and the climate data we are measuring, and Green Pass is providing certification as part of the study. And for the revitalization project, the same. We are working closely with the city officials here and gathering our own data. So it only works, we are talking about like one block of a street. We are not talking about a whole city here. So especially for the case studies now. So the data would have to be collected. Or maybe if then there is some open source data by then, that's great.
There's also a question from Mario from the Q&A section. Does the app itself facilitate the dialogue, or does it mainly raise awareness?
It facilitates a dialogue. We want to make it a new tool for participation. We thought about it a lot, like there were some development stages. At the beginning, we were thinking of letting people design their own scenarios, like in The Sims. But we quickly had to throw that overboard because our developers were like, that's not possible. And we also didn't want to overcomplicate it for the users. So we will have predefined scenarios, and there will be some kind of voting and feedback mechanisms in the app, because it's a focus that we want to be a solution for people who maybe can't participate in standard like participation tools where you meet up in the evening because you have little kids, you can't go out. So we want to build a new participation tool.